All right. Hooray. And I'll try to keep an eye open for anybody that comes in a bit late. So let's start with a check-in. You could do this in any position that's comfortable for you, sitting, lying down. Oh, here comes Kathy. This is a very important part of a yoga practice, I think. It's sort of stepping out of the to-do list and just dedicating yourself to this next hour, being present in your body, practicing mindful movement. So whatever position you're in, eyes open or closed, just sort of notice your surroundings. Noticing any sounds, maybe feeling the breeze on your skin, temperature. And then just starting to drop into the body, start to notice what sensations you're aware of. How do you feel in your body this morning? Taking note of any particular injury or healing that you know is going on. Noticing any aches or pains or stiffness. Take a few moments just to notice and feel how your body is breathing. Just feeling the natural ebb and flow of the breath. And again, just it's sort of like setting a little intention to just practice moving in this body that you have at this moment. Moving in a way that's helpful, interesting, a sense of curiosity, doing no harm. And just seeing how your body responds to the movement. So whatever position you're in right now, go ahead and just add some movement, whether it's wiggling the toes or moving the arms, doing a twist, just whatever appeals to you. And as you add this movement, notice the new sensations that show up. Notice the impact that the movement has on your breathing. And just noticing the quality of your attention. And you can change up the movement a little bit if you like. Noticing how there are different sensations that you're aware of now. And in a moment, if you're lying down, we're all going to make our way to a seated position. So as you're ready, just making your way to sitting. And again, you could be sitting on a chair, on a bolster, a blanket, cushion, anything you like. Kathy, I really must get that app. I really like the Northern Lights. And so seeing you right there under the Northern Lights is so neat.
Thank you, but I must really find my granddaughter to tell me how she put it on. There.
That's cute. All right, just making some nice circles with the shoulders. Good morning, Karen. Don't you think that would be neat if I was sitting here teaching you with all those nice Northern Lights? Yeah. And changing the direction of the circles. and feeling what's happening. Is there clunking in those shoulders? Does one shoulder feel different than the other? Get a sense that you're rooting down and feeling stable through your pelvis, connecting to the floor or whatever you're sitting on. And then let's take the arms out to the sides and bring them all the way up overhead and reach up as if there's a peach tree with big, beautiful, ripe, juicy peaches. And reach up and grab one and rotate the arm, the wrist, and then reach up through the other side. Again, just noticing the sensations. Good, reaching up. Good. And then interlace the fingers and let's move into a side bend. So just tipping over to one side, still feeling rooted down through your sitting bones. And then come all the way up nice and tall and over to the other side. Reach. Root down and come all the way up again once more each side and sing Kumbaya. Up and over, reaching all the way down through the waist. Good. Relax the arms down. Staying nice and rooted through the sitting bones, sitting tall, spiral around to one side. Just enjoy 3 or 4 nice breath cycles here. Breathing into the space between the shoulder blades and the solar plexus and the throat. On an exhale, release back around to center and just pause. Take a breath in. And then on the exhale, twist around to the other side and feel your way. Don't think you know where to go. Feel your way until you feel like, okay, that's as far as my body can go at this moment. And then breathe. And with your next exhale, release again back to front. And then walk your hands out in front of you a bit. Just rounding the back, just feeling what you can do here, how it feels in the body. That's the way. And then go ahead and release and come back. Let's take the legs to the right. And a little rock and roll here, just rolling the right hip forward and back. Let's take your time. Feel the sensation of rolling on that right buttock. Good. We're going to switch to the other side. So it could be, you can make it fun and challenging by holding onto your hands and not using your arms to switch around. So that's a little bit of core strength, balance. And then see how it feels on this side. What do you feel and where do you feel it? So many times we move around in our body just on autopilot, I'm sure you've all had the experience of driving and not even remembering driving. You know, you just were able to do it on autopilot. So keep bringing your attention into the feeling of movement. Excuse me. All right, hands and knees. And we're going to make our way through that little sequence of poses that we've been playing with. So I'll show some options for you. And as I was mentioning before we started class, This is going to be one of the videos that I send you, those of you who signed up for the 5 videos, so that you can continue to practice this little sequence over the next, through to the end of October. So it starts with being on our hands and knees, and walk your hands a little bit more forward and just taking your hips down towards your heels. This is modified down dog. And then coming up, and you can do some cat-cow here if you like. There's some nice undulating spinal movements. Can even throw in a couple of puppy dog wags, bringing hip and shoulder together on one side and then the other. And then taking the hips back towards the heels again. Stretch your hands out in front. Coming forward and up, some more cat-cow. So here's another 2 options here. You can take one leg up and bring the nose in towards the knee, and then kick the leg up and back. And do that a couple times, or just once, whatever works for you. Or at this point, you could curl the toes under and come up into down dog and do the same thing. So in down dog, you could pedal the heels a little bit, stretch out the backs of the legs. And then from here, you can take one leg up and then bring nose to knee. So whichever way feels good for you, they both have the same contraction and lengthening of the abdominal muscles. At some point, we want to take the right foot up towards where our hands are. And you can use your right hand to help scoop it forward, or you can find any old way to get into a low lunge. That includes, you could have your left knee on the floor. And that's just as a transition to come up into warrior 1 pose. So again, it can look like this: inhaling, taking the right leg up, exhaling, bring it forward. And then I'm going to angle my left foot so I can bring my hands up onto my knee and then up to standing. And then you can adjust your feet so you feel like you're in a nice stable warrior 1. Warrior 1 has the pelvis facing forward. Both feet are kind of facing forward. Once you feel stable, only if you feel stable, you don't have to bring the arms up if you don't want to. Otherwise, you can bring the arms forward and up, or out to the sides and up for warrior 1. So warrior 1, you could hold for X number of breaths. You know, over time, challenging yourself to hold for more breaths. You might just start with 1 breath. Or you might just take the arms up for part of a breath and then just rest with the arms down. It's harder work when you have the arms up. So you get to dial in just the appropriate amount of effort and work for yourself. The next pose is warrior 2. So I'm moving my pelvis towards the left side of my mat and adjusting my left foot so it feels relatively comfortable. Now, if you're feeling wobbly today at all, you could have a chair on that long left side of your mat so you could hold on to the back of the chair. Otherwise, you've got your hips level. And then once you feel nice and stable in your feet, then you can add the arms, shoulder level. If the arms are too heavy, you could always break them down to goddess arms, bent at the elbow. You could have them a bit lower if your shoulders are bunching up. If you've got something going on in a shoulder, you just have the one arm up. You can gaze forward over the right arm or looking back over the back arm. Lots of choices here. Now from here, we move into exalted warrior. All we're doing is a side bend to the left. So I'm taking the right arm up and just resting the left hand on the outside of my left leg. Side bend, you could look down at your left foot or up at the sky. Anytime you like, you can finish that pose, take a little rest, and then go back into it if you want. So the next pose is the bent knee side stretch, which involves putting your right elbow on your right knee. Now, for me to do that right with my feet the way they are, it's because I have a pretty wide stance, it's pretty comfortable. But if you've got a narrow stance and you're going to try to put the elbow down, it's a bit more of a strain, I think. So again, if you had your chair along this left side of the mat, you could put your hand down on the seat of the chair. Otherwise, I like to take a wider stance here, and then I can rest my right elbow on the right knee. And then we're going to take the left arm in 3 big circles, or maybe it's just one for you. Bringing the left hand down towards the floor, stretching it out in front of me, and then up towards the ceiling. So it challenges your balance, and all the way back and down. Inhaling it up. Exhaling down. That's the way. Good. Very good. So now we're going to bring our hands onto the floor on either side of that right foot. It might be if you've got that chair in front of you or beside you that you just put your hands on the chair. Otherwise, they're down on the floor. And we're back in that low lunge. And we can just take a couple of breaths here. You could have the left knee on the floor if you prefer. That's the way. Good, Charlie. So part of this is even in figuring out the props. And if you practice this a little bit every day, you'll fine tune exactly where you need that chair, or exactly when you're going to need some support, or where's the best place in your house to do it, or the best time of day. So we can learn how to get really proficient at this little set of movements. And it might be that you don't do every single movement. That's okay. Uh-oh, door slam. Sorry, it got breezy in here. So from here, we're going to add a twist. So the left hand could be on your block or on your floor, your mat. And I'm just going to twist towards the right. Taking the right arm up towards the ceiling. Breathing. So you could have a cushion or a blanket underneath that left knee if you need it. Or you could have that left leg straight. So when you undo the twist, do so carefully. And then we have a choice here of coming back into child pose. And just taking like a little rest there in child pose. Or you could take a rest in downward dog. Yep, some people actually find this restful, downward dog. In either case, it's a rest. You're taking a rest, allowing the breathing to find its natural rhythm, feeling what's happening in your body, and make yourself a promise to explore these movements in such a way that you still feel it's beneficial. You're not causing pain. Now, if you've been in child pose, make your way up into down dog. And we're just going to move through those poses on the other side, the left side now. So we'll be taking the left leg up, or you could be doing cat-cow and lift that left leg up and then bring nose to knee. Once or several times, whatever feels okay for you. And on one of those movements, our goal is to take the left foot up by the left hand. Again, you can use your left hand to help scoop it forward. And you're in a low lunge with the right leg straight or on the knee. And we're going to be making our way up to warrior one. So when you're ready, come up, put your hands on that left knee to help you make your way up. At some point, you won't need to do that. You'll have the strength to do that. Adjust the feet, the legs for warrior one. And there's always no rush. Take the time to find stability. Both hip bones facing straight ahead, toes facing straight ahead, and then add the arms if you like. And just play around with the pose. Feel free to wiggle around in it a little bit. You could also have your hands forward on the back part of a chair, or you could have a chair beside you. So you just have that one hand there to steady. So that's our warrior one. Warrior two, I'm going to start to turn my pelvis towards the right long side of my mat. Reposition my right leg, squiggle and wiggle around to find just the right place for your feet and your legs for warrior two. Only when you feel nice and stable, you can bring the arms up. Feel the texture of your mat beneath your feet. Breathing. And you could straighten that left leg and come all the way out of the pose and then go back into it. It all counts. And then let's move into exalted warrior, a side bend to your right. Left arm goes up and over. Again, you can stay in it or come up and out. You could also put the left hand on your left ear, taking the elbow up. You could use the right arm and reach back. That's a little bit harder work instead of having it resting on your right leg. There's lots of opportunity to play there. And now the bent knee side bend. So I'm going to widen my stance. Tip sideways so I can bring my left elbow on my left knee. Get nice and steady. And then big circles with that right arm. Just as many as feels okay for you. If you feel a bit wobbly, you might notice after doing this for a couple of weeks that you start to get steadier. This whole sequence of poses really works the core, the stability. All right, now the hands come down on either side of your left foot onto the blocks. You could also bring your right knee onto pillow or blankets, or keep it straight, whatever works best for you. That's the way. Just you can lower deeper into the lunge. So remember, not every single one of these poses is going to be appropriate for everybody's body. So now we're coming up to the twist. So your right hand could be on the block or on your mat. And then we're twisting towards this forward bent knee, the left knee. So we're twisting to the left. And you can just do like I'm doing here. I've got my left hand on my left knee, but it's my chest and my collarbones that have twisted. If you want, you can add taking the arm up. You don't have to. You just take half an arm up. As long as your torso is in a twist, your belly is turned towards that left upper leg. That's the way. Good. Only if you feel steady, then you extend the arms up. Very nice, you guys. Good. That's the way. Carefully undoing the twist. And your choice, whether you take a rest in downward dog or child pose or modified down dog. It's a rest, so whatever position you feel like you can rest in. And breathe as if you could breathe in and out through your skin. Whole body breathing. And just watch as your body adjusts to the stillness after all that movement and effort. If you're in down dog, go ahead and make your way down onto your knees into either child pose or modified down dog. Now, back bend that we haven't visited in a while, the camel, let's experiment with that while you're all nice and warm. So here's several ways that you could do this. First of all, I like to put some padding under my knees. If you had a chair, like to me, the best chairs to use are those metal collapsible ones because they're light and easy to move around. But you could have one right in front of you with a seat there, so you've got that to rest your hands on. Or you could be beside a wall like I am, and you could turn and face the wall. And I'm curling my toes under. And I'm working at tucking the pelvis. So it's like I'm trying to take my pubic bone towards the wall. And that really, you should feel that engage the glutes and the thigh muscles. And then, just like we did those full circles with the arm, we're going to do that again. I'm lifting the right arm up and I'm looking at my hand as I take it back towards my right heel. Just tap the right heel and then follow your hand as you bring it all the way up and in front of you again. You can do more on the same side or you can switch to the other side. But you're following the hand with your gaze. Inhaling it up, exhaling into a twist, tap the heel. Follow with your gaze as you bring it up and back down. If you find that your back is getting cranky, work at tucking the pelvis a little bit more. That engages your belly muscles as well, so that you're not over cramping your low back. And some of you might feel comfortable doing it without looking back. And you've done it a few enough times that you can find that heel without looking. And you can stay there for a few breaths. Squeeze the glutes. If you want, you could try and take the other arm up and back as well, but you have to really squeeze the shoulder blades together. So I'd only do that if you don't have any shoulder. Oh, good. And keep your chin towards your chest. Yeah, that head is really heavy. If you can have some nice extension and lift through your heart, then you can take the head back, but don't let it hang back. That's better. Good. Nice, Marta. Good. Charlie, that looks great. You guys are great with this. Those of you with tight quads might be finding it quite the stretch in those quads. And your core is working, you know, if you haven't been doing these kind of movements, you're kind of going into the unknown behind you. So it can make you feel a bit wobbly. And really, if you can, so you're pressing the pubic bone forward so you can feel your glutes tighten up. And then feel like you've got a helium balloon attached to your sternum and it's lifting your heart forward and up. And here's another thing you could practice is interlacing the fingers behind. And it's that squeeze between the shoulders that you have to be able to take those hands. Where's that heel? To take them back to both heel. That lift in the heart and the squeezing of the shoulder blades. So you can practice that with just interlacing the fingers and squeezing the blades. When you're finished playing with that, and you guys are doing awesome with that. That's like a super expert yoga pose. But child pose is going to feel really good after you've done that. Very good. And breathe into that low back and gently stretch it out. So a lot of people these days, these COVID days, a lot of us are spending more time sitting. And so our glute muscles get kind of flaccid, weak. And the glute muscles are a major driver of doing that camel pose. They, they're nice big muscles. They really help to shorten the back line. And the more that they and the hamstrings can work, the less your low back has to compensate. So those of you who there's some benefit from doing a pose a second time. So if you want, you can come up and try that camel pose again. And just see how it feels. I keep my chin towards my chest. It's the very last thing I do, that I lift up through the heart. And just make sure you're not hanging the head. It has to be supported. Good. Very nice. Did you have oh, okay. I thought Janet had a question there. Good. Very nice. So doing it without looking, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. All these aspects of yoga that are sort of unspoken, but proprioception is really important, kind of figuring out where your body is in space. And so even if you're just learning these poses for the first time, you're really working your brain. Your brain's looking at what I'm doing and listening to what I'm saying, and then trying to put it together in your body. That is such a good thing to be able to know how to do. You might not get into the pose, but your brain is working. The synapses are firing. All right, so when you're finished, you can make your way back up to standing, and we'll do our half moon balance because it's a half moon out there right now. So with any of these balance poses, it's nice to have some support nearby, a countertop or a wall or a chair that's very secure. And I'm going to be standing on my right foot, and I've got the leg parallel to the wall. And then I've got just my butt just gliding on the wall. And it's like I'm going to pick something down about a foot in front of my foot. So as I go down, the other leg lifts up, and you really have to reach with that leg. Now you could be putting your hand on the seat of a chair. It doesn't have to reach the floor. There's the edge of a couch here, so I'm putting my hand on the couch. And then the pelvis is turned into the room to some degree. And if you feel steady, you can reach your left arm up towards the sky. Reach your lifted leg towards the wall behind it. That's the way. And remember, reaching is key. If something starts to feel heavy, like a heavy leg or heavy arm, reach through it. And the reaching recruits some extra muscles to help support. I like this pose because it really works the glutes. And we're going to have to stretch the glutes out afterwards. Push that standing leg down, right through the floor. And after you've taken a few moments to let that all settle in the body, then try the other side. So it might be that you only go this far. That's okay. You can still reach through that lifted leg. You can still turn your shoulders and your belly in towards the room. When you take your arms away from your torso, that's extra work, extra hard. So you don't have to. You can keep them in close to the body. And just work at strengthening the legs, getting the feel of the pose. If you're using a wall, you can even take all the weight onto that standing foot and just lift away from the wall a little bit. Nice, nice and crisp. That's the way. Reach through that arm, reach through that leg. Experiment with the length of time you spend there. You could gaze down at the floor to be steady, or you can turn your gaze into the room. Or if you feel ultra steady, look up towards the sky, if your neck can handle it. Very good. Breathe and be one with your pose. You guys are doing awesome. Yeah. These are big poses today. That's all downhill after this, so take your time. We'll take a squat on the way down. So you can straddle a chair or sit on your exercise ball or stack a couple of blocks. Oh, and I am while we're sitting here in a squat, I this weekend was clearing out some stuff, and I've got enough props, yoga stuff, for a small studio for 8 to 12 people. So I've got cotton Indian blankets like this that I like to use. I've got these spinal strips, which are great to use. I like to use them instead of a blanket underneath my spine. That really opens, releases a lot of the myofascial tightness alongside the spine. I have blocks and straps. Anyway, I've taken pictures of them all, and I'm going to send them out in the email and give you guys first dibs. I want to get rid of them all. I don't think I'm going to be opening up my own studio. So what else do I have? I have 2 different sizes of blocks. I have regular blocks, and then I have flatter ones, bigger, flatter ones that we use a lot in Canada. So I'm going to put them on, clear them all out, getting rid of stuff. So if any of you guys are interested, you can reply to that email. The last bit in your squat here is to widen the knees a bit and reach forward. That's the way. Take the feet out wider. Yeah, that's it. And just a little reach forward. It doesn't have to be a big thing, just a little reach. Good. All right. Now, let's see. I want to get a stretch for our glutes. So pigeon pose. You could either do the traditional pigeon pose like this, or because it's the end of our practice, you could do a lying down variation where I'm crossing my right leg over my left, bringing my ankle to the knee, and then lifting the left foot off the floor. You could put your lower left leg, your calf muscle, on a chair, or if you're at a wall, you could rest the foot on the wall. Another option is you can thread the right arm through the legs and grab the left hand at the top of your left shin. And then just breathing here. Feel your body starting to cool down a little bit. You could sit in a chair and do this as well. Just relaxing into the breath. Breathe into the stretch if you're feeling it. So I'm feeling it in my left glutes. And you can also play with, if you're doing it the way I'm doing with the interlaced fingers at the top of the left shin, just creating that arch in the low back. So you're kind of playing with the angle of your pelvis, and it'll intensify the stretch a little, if that's what you want. So you could also, with that, you've got your right outer ankle around your left knee, and you can move that right knee away from you towards, like, out to the side. like push your hand on that knee towards the left foot, I guess. And then you can release it. Just kind of moving that right thigh bone in the hip socket. So instead of the knee coming towards your belly, it goes out towards the wall on your side and away from you. So you've got a big triangle between your upper legs. So that's a nice little bit of hip mobility in there. And if you're moving that knee in and out, don't move your pelvis. So just keep your sacrum on the floor and only move that knee as much as you can without changing the back or the pelvis. All right, time for other side. So let's take the legs straight up towards the ceiling and press your heels and spread your toes straight up towards the ceiling. Press, press, press. That's the way. And then go ahead and bend the knees, and this time put your outer left ankle just above your right knee. Taking that left knee out to the side a little bit. You could have your right foot on the floor if you like, or take it away from the floor. Thread the left arm through the legs and grab the right hand at the top of your right shin, or some people like to hold at the back of the knee, the right knee. Either way, just playing around till you find a nice bit of stretch. Breathe into it. The best muscle tone to have is a muscle that can be equally relaxed and equally strong. And again, with that left knee, you could move it away from the body and then back in and out. So I definitely have way more mobility in my, if you put your right foot on the floor, then it's a little bit easier to play with that left hip mobility, moving the knee out and then in, away from the midline and then back towards the midline. That's the way. And coming up next will be a twist. Your option here, your choice, you could do a seated twist like we did at the beginning of our class, or you could do a lying down twist. For a lying down twist, you have two options. You can take both knees towards the floor on one side, or you can cross right leg over left and then take both of the knees towards the left. And you can turn your head in the opposite direction that the knees are going. You can put props underneath those knees if you want, if you're doing lying down. Whatever your choice is, get into the twist and then rest. Just being with the breath. And when you're ready to move into the twist to the other side, bring your head back to a neutral position. Careful unwinding from the twist. Pause for a moment. And then find your twist on the other side. Find a position and then rest. Use that breath to create space inside the body. And then when you're finished with your twist, bring your head back to neutral, carefully undoing the twist. And then making your way onto your back if you're not already there. And we'll finish with doing the lying down version of the camel pose, also known as easy bridge. So just walk your heels in towards your hips. Feet are hip width apart. And with your arms alongside your body, try to walk your fingers down to find those heels again. And remember, we also talked about interlacing the fingers behind the back. So you could also press down through your feet, lift your hips up, and walk your hands together and interlace them. Tip to one side of the upper arm and bring the elbow in closer. And then do the same on the other side. And there's your camel pose. And the same idea, there's a squeeze through the glutes to lift the pelvis up, making sure that your abdominal muscles are engaged to help protect the low back. And just breathing here, nice opening across the chest. Nice stretch through the hip flexors. You can hover up there for a while, or you can release and go back down and then push back up. It's whatever you like. When you hear Shavasana calling your name, you can move into Shavasana whenever you like. If your body feels it needs something more, like hugging the knees in towards the belly, making circles with the ankles, or anything else that you'd like to do before Shavasana, go ahead and do that. You could also put your legs straight up the wall or up onto the seat of a chair or a bolster at the backs of the knees. Taking the arms out from the sides of the body, taking your shoulder blades down the back and rotating the arms so the palms are up. Close the eyes if you like. And just let yourself melt. Softening. Each exhale, just letting go. Continue to keep your awareness present. Either just feeling each breath or listening to sounds, just to anchor you in the present moment. It's natural for our attention to wander. So the practice in this pose is recognizing when your mind has wandered away and just bringing it back in a kind way, bringing your awareness back, feeling the breath, hearing sounds, sensing the body. Now feel free to stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like. If you do need to move on to the rest of your day, let it be a mindful transition. Wiggling fingers or toes or stretching in some way. Transitioning to sitting and maybe just notice the mind racing away into your to-do list or whatever, and just bring it back. We're gently training the mind. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for getting down on the mat with me today. I hope you feel the benefits of your practice. And I'll be in touch, sending you links to your 5 videos to keep you going until I'm back at the end of October. Don't be surprised if I make a surprise visit between now and then. And certainly I'll be available by email. All right. Namaste, my friends. I'm just turning off the recording here.